All right, everybody. Welcome to Pro NoCoders Office Hours episode 285. I'm your host, Cameron, and I am here with Brenton and Tanya. Before we get started, this is your first time doing this, tuning in. Basically, bring your bubble questions, bugs, feature requests, whatever it may be. We'll help you out. We can't promise answers, but you at least won't suffer alone, which is always nice. And we get it right most of the time, too. So with that, Brenton, you do have a question for us? Some Stripe stuff, is that right?
Yeah. So my question, or maybe more of a statement, is that I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, I've set up a Stripe account and I put together I pulled in a plugin, although I saw there were other options. You could just use the API directly. So I know I need to be able to take payments and give payouts because it's a sort of a marketplace, but I'm not really sure on the right approach here.
Yeah. Well, so let me make sure you are doing this with a plugin. Is that what I heard correctly?
I mean, I found a plugin.
Or you started?
Yeah, I found a plugin and it asked me for a bunch of information that I could not find on Stripe. So yeah, it kind of didn't make much progress after that.
I can help you find all of those things, but before we do that, let's just make sure that we're choosing the right Connect account for you, the connected type.
Yeah.
So you need to pay out sellers, and
Right.
You're going to take a percentage of the sale for yourself, which is fine.
Yeah.
Do you need to hold on to those payments before they go to the sellers? Like, do you actually need to make sure that the transfer of the art has happened?
Whatever is simpler for right now, we can do. I think ultimately we probably will hold on to them, but for right now, we're just really prioritizing whatever's easier to implement.
Love it. Okay, then we can just go ahead and use I think probably using the standard bubble Stripe plugin and the standard Connect account type will probably work best. That will allow you to do everything that you need to do. And then in the future, when you want to start holding payments, then we can start talking about making the calls with using Stripe Express instead. So I'm guessing these things that Cameron is showing on a screen are the things that you're having trouble finding in Stripe?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want me to take over the screen share, Cameron?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay, sure.
Also, welcome, Thomas.
Hey, Thomas.
Can you tell me more about Stripe Express? What is that?
So Stripe Express has a few advantages, but it's a little trickier to work with, and the standard Bubble Stripe plugin does not handle Stripe Express calls. So if you wanted to use Stripe Express, you would need to use either another plugin or the API itself.
Okay. Can we take a service fee plus fixed fees out of the payment?
Yeah, that's not a problem. Yep.
And do you know, does Stripe handle tax for you? I thought I saw something like that in Stripe.
Stripe has some tax. This is a test account. So Stripe does have some tax stuff related to it, but not using you would have to calculate it yourself if you're using the standard Stripe Bubble plugin.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. I don't know if any of the plugins do any kind of tax handling either. I think that would be if you're trying to do like the taxes and everything through Stripe, you'd probably need to do that straight up through the API.
Okay.
So if I go to the plugin section and I go down to the Stripe plugin, it's looking for you're going to need ultimately 6 different keys.
Right.
So we're just going to worry about the development ones for right now, and I'll show you where to get them. And then you just go to the exact same spot, but in the live environment in Stripe to get them for these 3 up here.
Yeah.
So the first thing we want to get is this publishable key. And if you just go to your home section of Stripe, in test mode, your publishable key is right here.
Oh, wow. That was easy.
And then you just copy it and you can go and you can paste it in the development section. I'll let you follow along with me. So you just let me know when you have that done.
Yeah, that's done. And I see the secret key is there as well.
Yep. Just be prepared when you grab the secret key in the live mode, it actually won't let you like see it ever again. So you want to make sure that you are careful with it. Otherwise you have to reset it. So that's the secret key. The connect is a little bit different. So I'm going to actually create a new account real quick.
So hang on, I just realized that I'm in live mode. So I just did what you said. Why am I in live
for
mode?
live? Oh, at the top right, there should be a
there's
test
this little
mode
thing.
toggle.
Okay, there we go. Does it get, so I'm just going to redo that because I don't want to have the wrong keys in there.
No worries.
Okay, cool.
So actually the trickier one to get out of these three is the client ID. And this has to do with the connect part of things. So the publishable key and the secret key are what you need in order to charge users and create customers in Stripe.
Right.
The client ID is what you need in order to register sellers and have their accounts connected to yours through the Connect program.
Do they need to have Stripe accounts?
Well, when they register as a seller on your app, Stripe will have them create connected accounts.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So the way that we do that is first we're going to go to connect here. It says connect.
Yep. Yeah, I'm already on that page.
And then you're going to select to get started.
I've already done that. So my screen looks very different from yours.
And then platform or marketplace. Is this what you chose?
Yeah, that's what I picked. I didn't even see
cool.
another option. It's like a radio with one option.
Got it. So I don't know why they made it so difficult to find the rest of this, but actually what you do from here is you go up to the top to the settings here.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And then you see where it says connect and settings.
Yeah, settings.
And then when you scroll down to the bottom, you have to click OAuth for
mode ID. Oh, wait.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's where the test mode client ID, that's where you're going to grab that key. So just go ahead and copy that and then come back in and paste it. So that's now here, I'm about to save you potentially hours of your life.
Thank you.
Are you looking at my screen?
Yeah.
So I just came here and I copied this. I just dragged my mouse, highlighted, and I clicked Control C. And then I came in here and I clicked Control V. And it added a space at the beginning that I have to remove.
I actually saw that and I removed it already.
Okay, good. Because that has stolen hours and hours of my life.
Oh yeah, that's a killer.
The other thing I would recommend is go ahead and
trim it.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand why that happens, but it has tripped me up. And it doesn't do it on the other ones. It just does it on that one. But if you click here, you'll probably want to switch over to checkout V3 instead of V2.
I didn't really understand it, but I figured newer version better.
Yep, newer version is better. And then the last part of this is in order for the Connect stuff to work, you need to go ahead and set the OAuth settings here. Set it for standard because that's what we'll be using with the Bubble Stripe plugin.
Right.
And then we need to add.
When we eventually go to Express, I'll switch to that, to Express, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Can I use both simultaneously?
Yes.
Cool.
And then we're going to click Add URI. And here you need to do, which one is it? I think it's this one, but let me go and double check on another one of them. Because if you get it wrong, you will be stuck for a long time. So I know I have it in this one. And there's like a lot of conflicting information about this when you're researching it. I think that was the part that like had me so frustrated when I was first learning it, is for the URIs. I kept finding different people saying different things. So it's this one. So you want to take your app URL and then /Stripe authorize, all one word.
Okay. So you don't have a domain there, but for me, I'm using a domain. So I'll put my domain
Exactly.
/Stripe.
And then
Stripe
authorize, all one word.
Is that HTTPS?
It is.
Okay. Cool. Well, man, that seems like the sort of thing that would have taken a long time to parse through if there's conflicting information. So I appreciate that.
Yep, no problem. And so once you have that done, then in your app, you should be able, let me just do this API here. That's right. Bubble.apps.io. So I'm going to add this so I can use it. Then if I come into my, I'm just going to do a Stripe Connect page.
Okay.
A button here, and the button, the action that I'm going to use is going to be for payment, and then I'm going to register the user as a seller.
Oh, look at that. I've never gone to this part before. Register the user. Oh, so this is when you're creating a new seller user. Can you do this? Does this need to happen like ahead of time?
Yes, you would need to have them registered as a seller before you have the buyer able to click the button.
Okay. Are there costs associated with this? Like, would I want to wait until a user is actually getting paid to register them as a seller?
There are costs associated with the Express, but you probably want to reread the Stripe's own documentation on that. I think for standard, they just take a percentage, but for Express, it's $2 per month per active account.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But I think for standard, they just take a straight percentage.
So active, does active mean that they've been registered, or does active mean that they're doing a transaction that month?
They're doing transactions that month.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
I believe when I checked with Stripe that it was a calendar month.
Right.
So
okay. Yeah. So I don't need to worry about that.
Yep. So let me go and just make sure I have a user to register here. So I just have the admin user. That's fine. And so I'm going to click Edit Me, which is going to take me to connect.stripe.com. I'm going to skip the form because I'm in test mode. And it's going to go ahead and register me. Looks like I had an error.
So all you did was you just click that button as a user and it tried to do it.
That's it. Yep. And then it looks like note with the application's owner's test secret key. Redirecting.
That's all you do that.
Default. Nope. So I probably need to add a new URI. That's all. I right now I have it going back to a general one. I probably just need to work through and figure out which URI I need to set up here. Because if I didn't actually set it up. That's weird.
Oh, okay.
That's why. I thought I did though.
Yeah, I thought you must
watch me do that
or something.
Like I must have like given up.
Yeah, I thought you did it.
let's see here. We'll see. Maybe it was giving me an error and I just didn't realize the error was there. Yeah, it's, oh, this one says, okay, so, oh, I see. When I switched this over, it wouldn't accept anything in my new one. It was it was the duplicate tab that was messing it up.
So I kind of missed some of that when you added that action. Did you enter anything other than the, like, what did you? Okay, so
I didn't
make that button just as is, and it works. Wow.
Yep. So you can enter this information if you already have it. Like if you already had the user that you're registering as a seller, if they've already given you this information, like in a profile form that you had, you could go ahead and add this information for them to make it easier. But you don't have to. So, and then let me just add this URI one more time. Okay, now it's actually here. And then if I go and I preview this page, click the button.
Takes you.
Should take you back to
the window. Interesting.
It doesn't what?
Now I just noticed it didn't open a new tab.
Nope, same tab.
Now they have to fill it out on Stripe, and they'll like put their bank information in and everything.
Yep.
Okay.
They'll put their own information. So I didn't put the test mode in there. That's why it sent me to the live mode. So I just need to update the URI to save version test, and it should work.
Right.
But these are the things you could lose your whole life on. So
yeah, so I think I did the same thing because it put me at this. So it redirected me to that Stripe authorized page. Is that what we're expecting at the end of the Stripe flow? After they're done signing up, they go to your domain /Stripe authorize.
Well, yeah. So in the past, I haven't had, it just takes me back. Once I have it working, it just takes me back to the original page that I had.
Oh.
So let me try it one more time.
Yeah, for me, when I click that skip this form, it's sending me back to my domain /Stripe authorize with a bunch of URL params at the end.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so yeah, I guess you could create, if we created a Stripe authorized page, let's see what happens.
That's interesting. So does this also happen on the Stripe domain with Express, or is there a way to have it happen on your domain?
Well, there's no way to do the connect without going to Stripe.
Right. So it always happens on their domain.
It always happens on their domain. Yeah. Okay, that's better. It took me to my own page instead of to a 404. So
just because you created the page.
Yep, which you could then put the workflow on the page to send them wherever you want.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so from there, could you show me, like, I don't want to take up too much time, but could you show me like maybe one example of like how to do a payment or sure, accept the payment or something? Yep. I know I can figure this out, but since I've got you on the call.
Yep. So we'll just call this register, and then this one we'll call pay. And on the payment button, you would use the same payment section of the drop down here, and then you would go charge the user. And generally, I charge the user using a saved credit card, but you could just charge the current user, which will send them to Stripe to enter their information and then send them back. So
Right.
if you charge a user using a saved credit card, it doesn't send them anywhere. It just charges the card on file because they already went to Stripe before and entered the credit card information. So they don't have to go back to Stripe. You can just charge the card that they have on file.
So if it's a new user, will it ask them to enter the credit card?
Yeah, so you could have, when this button is here, you could say collect the user's credit card information, and you could say only when current users Stripe credit card. Because when you added the Stripe plugin, it added all of these fields. You cannot get to these fields like you can other fields, that you can only get to them through these menus here. So Stripe credit card ID is empty. So what I'm saying is, if I don't have a card on file, grab the credit card first, and then you can have the payment here and charge a user using the saved credit card. And then this is where you can say the payee of this transaction is your seller.
Ooh, okay. And then
you would find whoever the seller is, right? Based on the dynamic information on the page, you would say the seller is, someone else. And then this is where you determine your app fee.
So I just put a fixed number in there.
Yep. So you could do it, right? You could do the math here, or you could do the math on the page and then just
on the page.
Bring it in here. Yeah.
Cool.
And then the card ID to charge would be the current user's Stripe credit card ID.
That's the payer.
This is the payer, and then this is the payee. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. Awesome. This is really helpful.
Bunch of Stripe stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time zone are y'all in, by the way?
I'm in Arizona along with Cameron. We live like less than a mile apart.
Yeah, we can throw rocks at each other from where we live.
Don't throw rocks.
Quite a throw.
No, yeah, no rocks. But I'm saying pretty close.
Yeah.
That's great.
But awesome. Brenton, glad we got to help you out. We do have some other people waiting for us. I want to move on. Thomas was here first, then Jordan. So I'm going to be with Thomas for just a couple moments. I know he has some questions about some design stuff that I want to help him with. Then we'll go from there. Not to cut you off or anything. Just wanted to.
Hey, Jordan, I'm sending you a message in the chat.
Hey, Cam.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, do you mind if I pass it on to Jordan?
Oh, sure. Yeah, not a problem.
Just cooking over here, so I don't want to make too much noise.
Gotcha. All right, Jordan, you are up. Do you have a question for us?
Possibly. I was waiting for Tanya's message here.
I was just going to ask you if you had a question.
Oh, okay. Possibly. Sorry, this is my first office hour, so this, I don't know, this might be kind of out of line. So the app that I'm building, excuse me, I've got a barcode scanner that will be scanning I guess barcodes, and so it's connected by USB. So I'm really looking for some help. Like, do you have any suggestions to point me in the right direction to learn more about this? If this is even a possible function I can do with my Bubble app?
It is possible.
Yeah, definitely. Which plugin are you using?
So I've got two barcode scanners. Are you talking about Bubble plugins, or what type of scanner?
Yeah, well, I guess, are you talking about using hardware to link to Bubble, or are you planning on creating the app using a barcode scanner to then talk to your hardware? Like, basically, what's your setup? How are you approaching this?
I'm still trying to figure that part out, to be honest with you. So I have experimented with some of the barcode scanners that are plugins on Bubble currently. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I just wasn't getting, it wasn't reading the information, or it wasn't, there was like a lot of variables that you had to account for, like the webcam adjusting properly or focusing probably, which is not a Bubble issue, or the plugin not recognizing the barcode. So I was kind of leaning towards, there's some SDKs, Dynamsoft, DYNAMSOFT has an SDK that seemed fairly promising. So I was thinking about maybe incorporating that into the Bubble app. And then for the hardware, I was just going to try to use some like actual physical barcode scanners rather than a webcam. Just first, I'm thinking like speed of use is more important than minimal hardware for my use.
Gotcha. I'm looking at Dynamsoft right now. I'm trying to see.
And I'm certainly open to other options. Sorry to cut you off. I'm certainly open to other options. That's just what I had found. So it seemed like something that was encouraging.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see. Trying to see if anything has a REST API. I know that we couldn't use a SDK, especially if it's all inclusive, but I feel like setting it up is going to be easier with a REST API, if at all possible. And that's not always the case. Yeah, sure. Let me do that. All right. Just seeing what some of these things offer. It looks like Cloud Immersive offers curl, which is definitely nicer to deal with than everything else. Page is unresponsive. That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. This service looks awesome. Doesn't work. Okay. Let me get out of here.
So you're saying SDKs are a non-starter?
No, I'm not saying that. No, we absolutely could integrate using an SDK. So Bubble has the JavaScript toolbox, which then allows us to actually pass in and take objects and return information. And typically these SDKs, I mean, not always, but from what I had seen, are using JavaScript. So it would actually be able to work for us. That's not a problem. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. This says it's no longer available. That's nice. So Barcode API, Cloud Immersive seems to probably be the best starting point. QR generator. And so, see, it looks like it is working. Oh no, when we get to this part, the website crashes. Okay. Well, never mind. And so real quick, again, what was the one that you were using?
Well, I'm still trying to set it up, but Dynamsoft, DYNAM.
Okay.
And there's a few other names I can throw out there if this one isn't a good one.
Let's take a look here. Scanner SDK with flexible APIs. Cool. We could try the online demo.
I have tried this and it does work for this actually works really well for a webcam. So that if I did this, I would go back to the webcam option for reading the barcodes.
I don't know what's going on with my computer. I think it's having some troubles. Everything's a little bit slower than it needs to be. What I want to look at the documentation. It looks like we need to sign up and download this. Let's see. I take this URL here. So for web, yeah, JavaScript package. Let's take a look and see what's going on with this guy. So giant zip file, you probably won't be able to see. I just want to take a quick look and see sort of what it provides. Oh, nice. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. So barcode reader for images, I imagine we'd be focusing on images if I had to guess. I do want to see, so sample docs to get it up and running. Okay. So this looks like we would be putting this in an HTML element. So a lot of these documents are going to be talking to each other. I know that for a fact. So it definitely is possible. What I will say is it's going to take a little bit of time and understanding to get to where you want it to be. Absolutely. Is it impossible? No, definitely super possible.
Okay.
It's just, like I said, a little bit of work is going to go into it to making sure that all of this information is communicating the way that it needs to be. Now, their documentation is pretty extensive, if I had to say. Looks like you can do a lot with it. A lot of different functions here that give you a lot of different controls.
Yeah.
And so,
sorry, I interrupted you.
No. What were you going to say?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Gotcha. So the way that you're going to be using your barcode scanner is this. What environment, I guess, are you looking to be using this in?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it. So it's just like school school security software. So when you go to a school as a visitor or to pick up your student, a lot of times you have to scan your driver's license essentially, and so it'll do a
Gotcha.
background check. Maybe if there's like custody issues, it'll permit one parent to get that child, another parent's not able to.
Gotcha. Okay. I like the idea, definitely. So I want to do another search for barcode scanners with a REST API. This guy has the same question, and Android-based. Interesting. So what's one of the other names that you could provide for me to look up?
I was looking at Scanbot, SCANBOT.io, but that one has an SDK. So I looked all these up before.
Yeah, I feel like most of them are going to have an SDK.
Okay.
It's just a matter of integrating this and getting it to work between Bubble and communicating with your device, really, is sort of what it comes down to.
Okay.
So you can see how it's packaged all together. So we'd call all the information here, and then we could just run it. I'd like to take a look at this with you for sure later. I think that we could go ahead and actually try this out. We could try it out right now, actually. Don't know if this is going to work, but I am curious just to get like a test version, see if we can actually get something going.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and. Do I need a link href? Yes. Actually, I haven't linked the CDN in forever. Do I need a special tag to do that? I do. It is a script source. That makes sense. Okay, and then we shall try. Like I said, don't know if this is going to work the way that we want it to, but
yeah, it's worth a shot.
From the JavaScript example. Well, this is something actually you put in your console, actually. That's not JavaScript. Wait a second. Yeah, okay. Well, it looks like a console command, so. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to take a little bit more experimentation for sure to give you to actually provide you an example of it working with Bubble. I do know it is possible 100%. Like I said, though, it's going to take a little bit of work to actually get that up and running. But yeah, no, like the idea. Absolutely. And if you need more insight, I do know that we have some individuals on the team, Pablo and Eli, that are both super experienced developers that work with JavaScript SDKs and can probably point us into a better direction as well. So if we need to get in contact with them, we absolutely can.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's all I had. So
amazing, cool. Thanks for bringing the question.
Thank you.
Awesome, Jordan. I'll follow up with you by email.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, Baraka joined us.
You did. Welcome, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome. How are you?
Fine. How are you doing, Tanya?
Good, thanks.
So
I think Cameron and I are both familiar with your problems, so we can get started.
Yeah, if you want to share your screen, Baraka, that'd be awesome. So that I'm aware, basically you have two nested repeating groups and you want them to communicate with each other or filter in a sense, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, go ahead and pull it up and share your screen so we can take a look at the exact issue and we can walk through on how to solve it.
Okay.
I'll stop sharing here.
Can you see it?
I can.
Yes.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yep, it's
Yes,
visible. I see it.
Yeah, okay. So the problem is around that. It's in the creating an invoice page, a group, I could say. And for instance, like say I'm adding something on this invoice, I'm creating, and then, okay, and then I select the national park, create maybe 2, I add, and then when I go and I create, maybe I'm adding an activity, it's added. The problem comes around when I add a different, say, national park with a different activity, and then it duplicates as, for instance, like it's a repeating group. So I was thinking that this activity invoice item could be filtering, could be grouping itself with the pack invoice item that have the similar national pack.
Sure, yeah, definitely. I can see the issue there. Do you want to pull open your design tab so we can take a look at this repeating group and then the logic when we click the add?
Okay, it's here.
Okay.
So from here.
Cool. Yes. So this is how we would add the park in this case.
Yes. So it's like, by the looks of it, it's like adding, okay, it's here. I create a new thing on the database, and then I add it on a list, which is a custom state, but it's adding what's created on step 1.
Plus items.
Plus.
Okay. And go back to your repeating group specifically for the activities that we add.
Okay.
So what's the data source?
For the invoice, for the activities, also the data source of the custom state.
Okay, so we're passing in the custom state. So since we're adding every single time to this custom state?
Yes.
Okay, so data source is the quote my trips invoice activity items. So we need to be referencing just the national park. So I'm thinking that we could create a custom state. And if you don't mind opening up the custom state actually, so we can see what parameters they have.
Oh, okay.
So I see that we're okay. It's adding it all to a list. So
Yes.
what I'm thinking here is that on your repeating group, now we need to filter. Well, okay.
I need.
So
What I'm thinking is.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is it's actually here. So it's a type of the invoice activities again, but it's a list now.
Okay. And so each park is referencing this list of activities. If we click on the activity repeating group, the data source.
Okay.
So the data source, yeah, okay. So we're pulling all of the items from this. And what we need to do is we need to filter those items so that the only item that we're pulling is for the activity. So, for the park. So this data source is basically a list of all of the activities. It's not a list or an item relative to the park, in which case.
Yes, yes.
So the data source, we should do quote my trips and voice activity items. And then can we filter that? And when we click on that blue text, does it give us some more?
Yeah.
Okay, and we can add a constraint. We can try to add a constraint at the very least, sort of see what we can do here. I wonder how this is going to reference each other. Because ultimately we need to have the park reference the activity and the activity reference the park. But then in addition to that, let me ask you a question. If somebody visits the same park twice and have different activities, we need to have those activities be different. We don't want them to show up on two separate instances of parks. We don't want those activities to be duplicated there either. So the way that I would structure this is I would use, okay. We have the custom states, which is definitely the first step in making sure that the data is loaded and we're passing in this data into custom states. We need to then, and we're doing as a list, I would probably have a unique ID added to each park. So park 1, and then we would add, that would be like the first instance of the park that we're adding. And then each activity we'd add would also be this activity with the unique ID of 1. So we can reference 1 equals 1. And then when we have a second park, that would be park equals 2. And the activities we'd add to the list would then be activity 2, so on and so forth, right? So they all have an ID that sort of matches each other. And that is probably the best way to approach it. So I don't think we have that currently at the moment, right? There's no ID that references each other.
Yeah, there's no ID that references each other.
And you could probably instantiate that with just a count. So the item count in this repeating group, where like, let's say when you click the activity button, we're creating a count of 1. And so then when we create the activity, we're passing it into a custom state where we're passing in the park name and then the count. And then the activity would be a list of the activity. Well, see, I think having it as a list could be a bit confusing as well. Do you mind going back real quick when we click on that plus button?
Okay.
Let's say clicking on the activity, the workflow for that.
Okay.
Okay, so we create a invoice activity. And this is a database item, right? This isn't.
This is not for the custom state. This is the database creating something on the table for the activities, and then the following step is adding what was created to the custom state.
Okay, in the custom state. And this is a list, the invoice activity items.
Yes.
Well, I guess then you could reference the position of the list of the items inside your repeating groups. So if it's adding sequentially, where we're adding an activity, or I'm sorry, if we're adding a park, that's going to be item number 1 in your list. And then
Yes.
we'd have to ensure that we're adding an activity next, which would then be the first activity in your list. That would be then the activity associated with the park. Okay, so I think since we're using a list, we don't necessarily need a unique identifier. I think it might help us, but instead, so in your repeating group source, I think what you should probably do is we should identify which position. So by using the position of the item in the list, if that makes any sense. I know it's a bit confusing, but what we're trying to do is accomplish, well, we have these 2 lists, right? And they're running parallel to one another. Where activity 1, or rather,
activity 2.
Well, shoot, now that I'm giving me multiple activities though.
Can you share the app with us? Can you add us to the app so we can go in there?
Okay.
I'll send you the email address. NoCoders.com. There you go. It's in the chat. Just go into collaboration and settings, and you can add that one. Because I think it'll be easier if I could go in there and see it. What do you think,
exactly.
Karen?
Yep, totally. Sort of a hands-on approach, because I see what's happening, but I need to play with it, you know?
Yeah.
It's a lot of custom states and a lot of lists. Okay. Let's see.
And if I could elaborate more, the thing that is inside that I know, because when a person there'll be like more than one activity attached to one national park, because I could add, like I say, the same national park with different activities, and then, which means that the activities that will be attached on the same national park can be more than 1 or 2 or 3.
Yep, I totally understand that. So while we're doing this, you got to that. Can you go to your actual preview page? What URL or what buttons should I be clicking to actually be able to generate an invoice?
The plus ones.
So do I go to create an invoice, and then create an invoice?
No, you have to. Okay, let me show you. From the top menu, you go like you create an invoice, and then it will take you to this page, to this part, and then you can just add anything. It won't allow you to go to the next part without having data filled here.
I see. Okay. Okay, so 2 children, neat. Okay, yes, I see this. We add an activity, so I'm going to do a step-by-step here. Oh, we can't add an activity until we have a park. This makes sense.
Yes. And it's better you have, so far I've added the things that I've added from say July. There's data for activities with the national park, and that's where you can play around.
Okay, this is making more sense. I see it. With a custom state, we're passing in that item Okay. So I do think using a unique identifier is actually going to be in our best interest.
Okay.
And so then when we create an activity, we are going to, let's see. So I guess there's no activities for Mikumi National Park.
Yeah, there's no. That's why I said like we can from the when you are starting creating a customer details, you can start with the estimate date in like from July something, and then you can use Kilimanjaro and Serengeti. Those are the national park that they already have activities associated with.
Gotcha. Okay. So I need to set the date to July.
Yeah, from July to stuff.
Okay, test this out. Let's see. A non-resident, we're going to Kilimanjaro. And then the activity is cool. So cycling, that's what we're doing. And then we're setting so I do see that with the activity that we're adding, and I can go ahead and share my screen. So yeah, with the activity that we're adding. So this is the custom state, the quote my trips invoice activity items. The first item here is going to be looking at what we just entered. So the cycling, adult fee 20 or adult fee 50, I mean child fee 20, so on and so forth. We have no national park that we're associating with it. That would make it a little easier. It wouldn't be the solution, the exact solution. I just wanted to point that out. So if we went ahead and let me delete these real quick. So let's say we click this button here. And we're creating this new invoice park. And then we're setting this invoice park. And we're saying everything that we just created, we're putting this in this invoice list. One of the things that I think that you would find advantageous for this particular example, and I am going to try and, where would I?
You get it from
here, this is called group park invoice. So I should just be able to, oops. Okay. So when we click this button, what we can consider doing is, we'll call this a unique ID, and we'll say it's a text. And what we can do in Bubble is we can calculate a formula with a random string. We could say that it's going to be 5 characters. We can click all of these. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to pump out a bunch of different looking strings of just randomness, basically.
Okay.
And so when we do that, what we're then also going to want to do, if we can, I'm sort of thinking out loud. I want to see if we can do this, but now what we're going to do, say activities. So we want to reveal this in the element tree, pop it open. And so another thing that we may actually want to do while we're on this step is setting a page. So every single time an activity is clicked, we set a state. This is, yeah, we can call this unique ID. This will also be a text. But what it is, it's going to be a result of step 1's unique ID. And so every single time we click create a new activity, or not an activity rather, every single time we click on this, adding a new park, a new ID is going to generate. However, in the meantime, when we go ahead and click down here and we add an activity, what we can do is we can also have a unique ID associated with this as well. Unique ID. And what we're going to reference is we're going to reference this pages. Let's see. What is this page? Quote my trips.
Yes.
Unique ID. So now every single time that we click an activity, it's going to have the unique ID of the park. And then every single time we click the park, the ID is going to reset. It's going to be new. So that means every single time we click, or every single time we want to add an activity and have it displayed down here, it'll be referencing the park that it's under, and it should only populate there. So now what we need to do. So this is the park. We are looking for the activity here. So I need to refresh this. And we'll do this. Oh, I'm going to stay for 30 days, a whole month. Say, why not? And we're doing luxury. Okay. Okay, so we'll click continue. We will go to, I'm a non-resident, I'm going to Kilimanjaro. And so we will do a step-by-step to make sure that this works the way that we want it to.
Yeah, the duration.
I see. I should probably want to do that. Now, it doesn't show us end debugger, but that means it is working, fortunately, because that's our random formula.
Okay.
And then this is what it outputted. Hashtag M9, capital K, capital J. So if we remember that, and then we click on activities, we went cycling. We are doing a duration of 10 days at 2 adults. We'll go ahead and click on this. It added that unique ID.
Okay.
So now what we'll do is we'll say that we are, we're adding a new park. Let's say we're adding a new park. And you said I could use Kilimanjaro and Serengeti, right?
Yes.
Again, does not tell us down here, which is not a problem, but it does tell us in the next step. And you can see that's another unique ID.
Okay.
So we'll go, we went on a short walk. We did this for 10 days. That's a long walk if you ask me, but there we go, the same unique ID. So now we have, basically, we have a list in our custom state. We have 2 lists. We have of the parks and of the activities with different IDs.
Okay.
So now I'm thinking that we're going to want to do, this is activities holder. So the current cells, let me just make sure I'm on the right one. The current cell invoices, park invoice activities, quote my trips invoice filtered by, oh, it looks like we have 2. Yeah, that's the one. We're looking for the one with a hyphen, I believe. Yeah, okay. So what we just said is that we're going to be looking for the quote my trips invoice activity items. We're looking for all of the items where the unique ID equals the parent group invoices unique ID.
Okay.
The parent group being the current cells invoices park. So fingers crossed. Premium, feeling good. Okay, so non-resident Serengeti, we'll say 10 days here, add that, and then add an activity of short walk for 10 days here. Cool. All right. Now we're going to go to Kilimanjaro. We are going to click that. We are going to say a new activity of cycling for 10 days here. And now, as the way that we want it, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, using unique IDs, basically the way that Bubble works and the way that a lot of, just programming in general is we have a bunch of different objects and we want to tell objects to communicate with each other. And one of the ways that we can do that is if this object contains the same value, then they must be related. And that's one of the ways that you can approach the situation. This is how I would approach the situation. But the cool part about developing and making things like this is there are different ways to achieve the same thing. I think in this case, it's going to be the easiest in terms of understanding the concept of how data communicates with each other. But there you go. That's the solution. And I'm glad that we got that settled out.
So what you're telling me that if I add more than one activity to the same national park, it will be attaching itself to, like, say maybe you add when you're in Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. So okay. We're going to restart with Serengeti. So we'll go a short walk. We'll say 10 days, and then we'll say a long walk, 10 days.
Yes.
So it didn't add to this Serengeti because the codes are different, but it did add to this Serengeti because they're the same in terms of the unique IDs.
Okay. So the best practice would be like if you're adding the national park, if you want to have more than one activity within the same national park, and then you have to add them together.
Well, so the way that this is going to work is if you want to have multiple activities inside one national park, the codes are always going to be, so remember, we reset the code every single time we press this plus button, right?
Yes.
We're passing this code to this activity. So if the code is the same on this activity as it is the national park, you can add as many as you want. So we could ride rhinos after we do all our walks in Serengeti. And so let me go ahead and show you actually while I have this step-by-step. So let's do another short walk. This time it's going to be a little smaller. We're going to click this plus button. And this code here was generated when we clicked this. So this park has this code, but so do all of the activities. They also have this code. And so what we're saying in this logic down here, if we inspect this repeating group, I want to inspect it all. There we go. Well, I guess we want to filter it. Where is that happening for us? It is not happening at a very easily clickable location. Where was it? It was the holder, I think it was, activity holder.
Yes.
I think it was the repeating group, activity folder. It's invisible. That's not the right. Invoice activity. It's one of these. Am I typing it in wrong? Wait, what's going on? Activity RG folder. Wait, that's not it. Okay, well, instead of doing that, let's just go back to here. Oh, it's the actual, yeah, it's the repeating group invoice activities. Let me show you while it's here. So we're searching for all of the activities that are in this custom state, right? So we have quite a bit. We have all of these. So that would be a total of 6 activities that we have.
Yes.
But then we're saying, but we're only looking for activities with the unique identifier that the park has. And so when we do that, it then only gives us a small list, right? And that's the idea of it, using this unique identifier to be able to compare the park versus the activities and only show the activities that align with the park.
Okay.
So hopefully that makes more sense for you.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated task that you had there for sure. Because I absolutely see where you were coming with that concept and how you were applying what you know. For absolutely. It's just when we're dealing with data, we want to tell the data. We basically just want to have the data communicate in a way that is easy and simple. And so, like I said, there's multiple ways to approach this. I think this is probably the easiest way. So when we have a data that has this unique ID, we want to find data that also has the same unique ID. And we can do that with that constraint we added. But yeah, that's going to be your solution to this task. It can get pretty sticky, I'll tell you what, but the way you had it set up, all we had to do is add that filtered right there and add this very small piece. So you were 99% there. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, whew, okay. We got a lot of questions knocked out of the way.
Woohoo! We're going to move into after hours. So
it is, yes. After hours, where if you're a member of the Pro NoCoder community / website, you can go ahead and join us where we turn off cameras if you have sensitive information. We'll help you out. So awesome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and watching.
Go sign up at pronocoders.com. Become a developer member so you can come hang out with us because we want to hang out with you.
I'm just trying to type in Pro NoCoders and my fingers aren't working.
There you go. Pronocoders.com.
Go here.
You don't have to bubble alone. Don't bubble alone. It's too lonely to bubble alone.
That's true. I love it. All right, guys. Awesome. Until next time, have a good one.
All right.